Who are the emerging stars for the San Francisco 49ers in 2025? Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the SNS show. Here with Sal Bora. What's going on?
Not too much, man. Let's get into it.
Okay, so the topic that we're going to start off with today is who are the players to look forward to? Who are the players that are going to make a splash? I'm not talking about the regulars like Fred Warner. I'm talking about the young guys that are going to establish themselves in the NFL this year.
I think we got to start the defensive side of the ball. And, you talked about it today. I think Dee Winters is a guy that would be a really big deal for the 49ers if he was to step up his game and take the role of being the starting outside linebacker for the 49ers to replace Dre Greenlaw. Dee Winters, the thing that stood out to me last year was his ability to cover in open space and cover receivers, never mind running backs. And the play that really sticks out in my mind is the play against the Kansas City Chiefs where he grabs a post coming from the other side of the field. The athletic ability you need as a linebacker to be able to do that and run with the receiver is pretty demanding, and he has that. It's the most exciting thing about Dee Winters, I would say, is his physical attributes in terms of how quick he is, how fast he is. As much as his run stopping abilities as of right now, it's still a question mark for me. I don't think we've seen enough of that, but I know for sure his ability in the pass game is going to be a good thing for the 49ers.
Yeah, he's massive in the pass game. It's a lot similar to Fred Warner because I think we'd both agree Fred's like probably the best linebacker in the league at covering the pass game. So if like we've been saying the whole offseason, we address the D line so it doesn't put so much stress on the linebackers to make plays left, right, and center in the run game. We have two linebackers in the middle that could shut down a pass game like Fred Warner can. It'll be a big deal for that defense. So yeah, the more I watch Dee Winters, like you bring up that play against the Chiefs, dude, he has so many plays like that, and it goes unspoken about, but they're everywhere. Every game he's in, he's making some sort of play like that in the pass game. So I think that's second nature to him. Like I don't think like he's gonna be one of the best at that. He's good at that. So yeah, like you said, it all comes down to how involved he's gonna be in that run game.
Yeah, shout out to Krug on the Krug show. It's funny. He kept asking Nick Swarnson, why don't we play Dee Winters some more? Why don't we maybe put him over Campbell? And basically the answer that he kept giving him was the experience of a veteran, and that's the reason why Campbell was in, because you couldn't really speak highly of the play of Campbell. I know as a fan watching the games and stuff like that, when we would go to the games, that was probably my least favorite player on the 49ers was Campbell. So I know for sure that Dee Winters has abilities to be on the field. He's going to get an opportunity this year to do so. The rookies that get drafted, maybe there's going to be somebody coming in that challenges him for that spot. But I would say as of right now, it's his spot to lose.
Yeah, it's exciting because we know for sure he's already an upgrade from what we had last year. So, yeah, like I think anyone would be, but he's an upgrade, so it's going to help all the defense.
Yeah, another guy that we talk about pretty highly of is Malik Mustapha. Malik Mustapha plays safety. That's what I played. And there's certain things that I look at when I look at a safety, and he checks the boxes. I would say my least favorite thing about Malik Mustapha is his height. But if you can get past that, his ability on the run is impressive. I would give him an A. He comes and he fills the alley. He comes with intentions to lay a lick. He's not coming to collect the tackle. He's not coming to just hit the guy. He's coming to knock him out. And those intentions by every safety in the league is not common. We see it, where, guys will come into the alley and just be satisfied with making a tackle. It's like he's not just satisfied with making a tackle. He's laying a hit that we'll remember, for a couple weeks. And that's his goal every single time. We've seen St. Brown mention, on his podcast, he said that the hardest hitter he played against this year was Malik Mustapha. And this is a young rookie who came in, who wasn't even supposed to be a starter. And, due to injuries, he was able to get on the field and really make his mark.
Yeah, he has so much upside. If the entirety of the defense is playing at that aggression, then that's what makes for a good defense. Like it's fun to watch him let it hit. He could emerge as a massive piece in this defense and at a position that we need it most because, well, not most, but we need it heavily because Jerry Brown, we both agree, is a weak side. And yeah, I mean, the roof of Malik Mustapha is tall.
Yeah, and in terms of the pass game, it's not that I dislike his game or anything like that. I don't think his strength is the pass game. Do I think he can play well in that part of his game? I do. It's just when you're lacking size and you're going against NFL receivers and you're going up for the ball, that will pop up on tape. It hasn't so much yet because he hasn't been put in those situations as much, but he's going to be on the field as a full-time starter now. He's going to be getting challenged in every which way a safety does in the NFL, and he's going to have to answer those challenges. Do I think he can? Absolutely. Anybody that watches Malik Mustapha play, he's a baller, he's a gamer. These are certain things that you can't teach. You either got it or you don't. He comes from a background where, he played basically the best way to describe Malik Mustapha is I would call him a hard hitter. I don't know if I would call him a great cover guy just yet, like we were just discussing. So that's something that he's going to have to prove in 2025. But that's why I call him a great rising star, is because if he does that, there's going to be no hole in his game. And we got ourselves a young guy for a long time.
Yeah, we're going to find out pretty quick because he hasn't been on the field a whole lot. He hasn't been in those situations a lot. So we'll find out pretty quick in a couple of games. We'll find out how he is in the coverage game. And yeah, if he has that, I don't see a weakness other than his stature.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then the other potential rising stars is going to determine who we draft, and that'll determine who the rising stars will be on defense for young guys. I don't consider Lenoir a rising star. Well, Lenoir is a star.
Let's talk about Renardo Green because we both.
That's true. Yeah, Renardo Green to me showed an ability to become an elite corner sooner than later. We knew when he got drafted that he could be one of the better man cover guys in the league. And he showed that on tape last year. I was fortunate enough to be at the Seattle game in Seattle when he got an interception on that deep dig route. He jumped Metcalf and picked it off. Just the way he's got great hips, he's got good speed, and he's got a lot of confidence. And those are all things that make up a good corner. So he's going to put it together in full this year, I believe. He's going to be given a bigger role. So now when there's only two receivers on the field, he'll be out there. Normally that would be Charvarius Ward, who's not here anymore. So he's going to be given a bigger role, and I think he's up to the task. I really believe in Renardo Green. If I was to rate Renardo Green's play last year, I would give it like a B minus, maybe a B. If I was to rate what I expect this year of him, I'm giving him an A. I really, really believe that Renardo Green is a lethal weapon we're getting ready to show for the 49ers.
Well, you're not alone on that because Dino Lenoir had a big statement with Renardo Green. When you say you're going to be the best duo in the league as cover guys, you have to believe in that guy massively because we've all seen players make comments like that and then the year doesn't go the way they expect. And it's just a big gamble to say something like that. And he obviously believes in Green a lot. And we seen it last year. Yeah, there's a lot of upside in his game. I love his body. His stature is amazing.
Yeah.
He's light on his feet.
Just to touch on Lenoir, again, I'm saying he's not a rising star because he's already arrived. But this is the year that he's going to get his recognition that he deserves. I believe he's going to get the Pro Bowl this year. I thought he should have had it last year. The thing is, the NFL, in order to, be recognized by fans that are not of your team, you need more interceptions. And that's something that he hasn't had yet. He's just such a great lockdown corner, but the interceptions, there hasn't been as many as you would like. I think you're going to get more this year. And hopefully, I don't know, the 49ers like to play him in the slot a lot. I think it's time that we try to maybe match him up against the number one and give him a chance to earn the respect and take advantage of who he is. And I think he's a lockdown corner. So let's use him on the number one receiver. Let him earn his respect through the league. I know he's got a lot of respect in the league already, but that's one way to get given a Pro Bowl is start locking up on the number one receiver.
100%. Now, let's move on to the offensive side because I think we've touched majority on the defense. There's nobody really on the defensive line that we're that excited about as of right now until after the draft. So, on the offensive side, I know the video that I posted today, the most obvious one, Ricky Pearsal. We've both seen a lot of things we liked out of him from last year. He's light on his feet. He's got great hands. His route running is elusive. So I think his game will go to the next level this year, especially because he's going to get a lot more targets and he's going to be forced into a role of having to produce. So it's going to come on fast this year.
Yeah, no, Ricky Pearsal, in my opinion, has a chance to become a big name this year. I think. It's funny that video that just surfaced with Brock Purdy, and he mentions Ricky Pearsal and the way he is in the huddle, and how he asks so many questions, and Brock Purdy enjoyed that, he said, and and they have chemistry, and that guy wants to put in the extra time in practice after practice to run routes and work on timing with your quarterback. And if anybody that's ever played the game of football, they know the importance of timing when it comes to professional football between a quarterback and a receiver, and being able to hit those routes, where you're supposed to be in terms of depth, and when you're going to turn your head and make sure the ball's there on time. All that stuff matters. And the only way you can perfect it is through practice. And, they have good familiarity now. I think they have good chemistry, and it's only going to get better from here on in. And I think that he'll overcome Jennings this year. I think Jennings was the guy last year, in my opinion, and along with Kittle. I think this year it's going to look like a Pearsall Kittle type offense. I don't think Jennings will fall off per se. I just think the opportunities are going to go more towards Pearsall than Jennings.
Yeah, I'm a big Juwan Jennings fan. We know the weaknesses he has in his game, which is basically just speed. I don't know if the offense is completely going to shift. I think Ricky Pearsall is going to get his chance, and it'll happen for him eventually. I don't know if it's going to come this year. I think it's just going to be more of a 50-50. But we do know that Kyle Shanahan favors one receiver. We know that. So if it starts working early on with Ricky Pearsall, yeah, I think it can become a Ricky Pearsall offense very quickly.
Well, I think Pearsall is going to get some Deebo Samuel type opportunities. Not necessarily we're going to use him as like a back or anything like that, but I mean, I think he's going to get some screens. I think he's going to get that quick slant play where the low lineman ends up in front of him leading the way. He's going to get a couple plays of Deebo Samuel, but the reason why I say what I'm saying is I've seen abilities in that young man that are something you cannot ignore. His ability to get open is there. That's a very important thing when you're a short quarterback like Brock Purdy, who can't always see over the O-line, which he did mention in that podcast as well. Mm-hmm. So he's going to be throwing on time, and he needs to trust that man is open. And when you have a guy like Ricky Pearsall who does get open, that's very beneficial for a shorter quarterback. So I believe that Ricky Pearsall is going to elevate his game and be given more opportunities. One, because he's very elusive. I think he's a guy that gets open a lot in the NFL. And when you do that, and he catches the ball. So when you do that, the opportunities are going to come. And we did invest a first-round draft pick into him. And him doing well only is a good thing for Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, especially at this time, with what happened last year and losing all these guys. They need their draft picks to hit. They need to answer back. They've lost 9 starters. Since I've been alive and watching this team, I cannot remember another offseason where 9 credible, we're not just talking like regular starters. These are damn good starters. 9 of them have left this roster. So you need to somehow fill that void. And one thing's for sure, when you invest high in a draft pick, you need to give that guy all the opportunities you can. So at least you look good that way. You've lost 9 credible starters. There's question marks behind that. But at least if your rookie that you drafted in the first round does well, that's one good thing that they can say happened for them this upcoming season.
Yeah, we'd like to see it happen even earlier. If Ricky Pearsall didn't get a shot last season, I would have hoped he would have had a much bigger season. I would have hoped that Shanahan would have made a point of emphasis to get him involved even earlier. Like, I know Shanahan doesn't like playing rookies, but if you're going to invest a first round draft pick, especially in a position like receiver where it could happen quickly for a guy at receiver, he needs to be involved, and it needs to come this year, and it needs to come in a big way because you have to justify using a first round pick on a wide receiver on a year where majority of the fan base, I'd say, would disagree with that pick. So it needs to happen this year for sure. And I believe in Ricky Pearsall. I think he can justify his pick.
Yeah, no, I'm going to stick to it. I said it. I've been saying it all off season. One guy to watch out for this upcoming season is Ricky Pearsall. So when I seen that video yesterday of Brock Purdy talking about Pearsall, it got me excited because it only furthermore makes me believe that there's a chance that Pearsall can become something. He can become a household name this upcoming season. I'm definitely hopeful, and it's not just blind hope. I do believe there's a good chance here.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go into the next offensive player. Obviously, Luke Farrell. We're expecting a big year. No, I can't. Who else do you have on the offense that could come up in a big way this year?
Well, I think Pooney is got to, continue where he left off last year. Pooney's a young guy. He played a pretty big role for us in his rookie year, and that experience that he gained last year is only going to benefit him this upcoming season.
Yeah.
And I love Pooney in the run game. When you see a guard getting to the second level and being able to pull, he's got the athleticism, he's got good size. I really, really like Pooney's game. So let's hope and see that he, takes the next step and he's in the Pro Bowl and he starts going on a run of Pro Bowls and playing as a premier right guard, which we kind of already see could happen. And it seems like it's going to happen. Let's just see that, elevation from last year. And I think before you know it, they're going to be talking about Pooney as top 3, top 5 guards in the league.
Yeah. There's always room to improve for sure, but I think it's less elevation, more just consistency. If he keeps on putting years like that on tape, then eventually you'll get your recognition as an offensive lineman. So yeah. I don't, it's just give us another year like that, and then give us another year like that, and then you're in the Pro Bowl pretty quickly.
There's a guy that if the 49ers don't draft receiver, there's a guy named Jacob Cowing. There's also a guy named Tariq Owens. Mm-hmm. Now, Jacob Cowing is a guy that John Lynch wanted, and he drafted him. He believed in his game. The guy is a smaller receiver, but you can tell he's like one of those quick, tough slot guys to cover, but has never been really given an opportunity in San Francisco. That'll be interesting to see if the 49ers don't draft receiver. Will he get the opportunity of playing third receiver?
Until Brandon Ayuk's here, I think you have to. He ran a 4.3. He's extremely quick. And who is the other guy that was getting play time over Jacob Cowing last year and made a horrible play, like just sold every opportunity? What was his name? You know what I'm talking about?
I do. I'm trying to remember his name. Well, Connolly got in a few times too.
Connolly
wasn't just the guy you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, but there was another guy. Regardless, he
number 10,
Ronnie Bell. Okay. He was getting opportunities and he would fall at every opportunity he got. Jacob Cowing's never done that. When he gets his opportunity, he makes a play. He's a safe receiver.
Well, let's not forget as well, they did sign DeMarcus Robinson. So
right.
There's also a chance that Robinson would take the third receiver spot, and probably a better chance than Jacob
probably
Cowing.
Will. Yeah, he probably will. Yeah, so he might not
now,
get as much
what about Tariq Owens, though? Because a lot of people have talked about how the 49ers are so high on him. He's Terrell Owens' son, who, in my opinion, a lot of people might not agree with me on this, but I think Terrell Owens is the greatest receiver of all time. I think Jerry Rice has the numbers to give you, that argument that Jerry Rice is the greatest of all time. But the reason why I say Terrell Owens is the greatest of all time is because the NFL has yet. I think the closest thing to Terrell Owens is Calvin Johnson. But Calvin Johnson, if Calvin Johnson had a longer career, you could go even with Calvin because of his ability to go for the ball, and he had the size and he had the speed. He was TO 2.0, but he might have been better at going up for the ball. But Terrell Owens did it over a long period of time. Terrell Owens, you could give a reverse anything to him, man. That guy was impossible to bring down. But that's irrelevant anyway right now. What I was talking about was Tariq Owens. So Tariq Owens, the 49ers are pretty high on him. And the reason why they're high on him is because they say he's a good route runner and he's big like his dad. He's not as fast as his dad. I think he ran a 4.6 if I'm not mistaken, or sorry, a 4.5. He ran a 4.5. So he's not going to blow you off like in terms of his abilities. It's not like it's crazy 4.3 or anything like that. It ain't like that. But the 49ers are excited about him because they say he gets open in man-to-man. He understands coverages and he sits in zones and stuff like that. So maybe there's an outside chance that he ends up on the field. I would be surprised, but they did bring him back.
Yeah, I don't know. So let's go over the roster spots. So typically you go into a game with 6 receivers. So if there's Ricky Pearsal, Jawan Jennings, there's your 2. There's going to be Demarcus Robinson, there's your 3. Okay, let's assume Ayuk's back, there's your 4. And let's say Jacob Cowing is 5. Is there a spot for the other veteran? What's his name that you just named?
Connolly.
Is there a spot for him?
I think this is the year that Connolly will just be a combine, or sorry, a training camp body. I'm not sure that he'll be brought back.
Yeah. Okay.
So I think you're going to go younger. I think they're going to get like, this is not a year that we're going to the Super Bowl, so you don't need those vets. Let's say, you trust you, or you give these young guys an opportunity.
Yeah, I assume Demarcus Robinson would kind of fill his spot as the vet at the position. So if we got those 5, the 6 could be Owens, or it could be our draft pick.
But you never know. Maybe he beats out Cowing, or it is possible because Jacob Cowing, for whatever reason, Shanahan has not given any opportunities to, and it doesn't seem like he likes his play. And the reason why I say that is if you were excited about him in terms of drafting him, you don't bring him in and just give him no opportunities, especially when there was injuries. There were injuries. Pearsal was out. Ayuk was out. There was lots of times where he could have been given an opportunity and he didn't. So, and then you got Ronnie Bell in there in front of him, who costed us a game against the Rams. If he catches that ball, Purdy did his job, marched us into field goal range. He catches that ball, we got a chance to watch Jake Moody miss a game-winning kick. But ultimately, Brock Purdy did his job, and Ronnie Bell let us down.
Yeah, and Connolly's not going to get a roster spot. I don't know. Maybe Tariq Owens to get a bet. I don't know if I remember last year before the year started that we were hearing negative things about him.
About Tariq Owens?
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know if it was negative things. It's just he was raw. So they feel like he's taken a step, and because of that step, they decided to bring him back. So the 49ers, he got injured. They let him go, and they brought him back after the injury. And he's done some good things in front of them that they believe that he's worth bringing back. They brought him back. And generally, when you do that, you've done something right. So the 49ers are definitely interested in Tariq Owens filling a roster spot. He's going to have to do his job come training camp and earn that spot. But do I think it's a possibility? I really do. I think there's a chance that he's on the 53.
Would there be if he wasn't T.O.'s son? That's the $1 million.
Honestly, if his name was like Terrell Owens is not exactly liked in the NFL. I think his career was cut short for that reason. If Terrell Owens was somebody that the NFL loved or the 49ers loved, then maybe you could make that argument. But I think for sure it helped.
I mean, like or dislike, he's a stud. So
yeah, like I say, it helped. But to say that that's the reason why he's going to make the team, I don't think so.
Okay, let's move on then. So wide receivers we covered. We covered Pooney. I don't think there's anybody left on the O-line that we're very excited about in terms of young guys.
Well, Spencer Burford's got to do something. We drafted him.
We've seen him play at a good level before. I don't know if the fall off happened or what happened, but I liked him his rookie
Well,
year.
he costed us in the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
He didn't pick up Chris Jones, and he got yelled at pretty good from Valenciano for that play.
Is that where it started? Because I don't remember hearing anything negative before the Super Bowl.
Well, I wouldn't say that that's where it started. I mean, he was always in and out of the lineup while being healthy. So
Was there?
yeah, so there's definitely he wasn't technically a starter, but he got put in due to an injury in the Super Bowl, and he got put in a bunch of times during the regular season as well. So he's had his opportunities, but for whatever reason, he keeps getting taken out. So that's a sign of a guy that's struggling or not playing at the highest level, good enough to be a starter.
Yeah. Okay, so there covers the O-line. Tight end, I think it's just George Kittle. We're probably going to draft one, even though we signed a backup tight end for $22 million.
Let's touch on that real quick. So you're the San Francisco 49ers, and you bring in Luke Farrell for 3 years, $22 million. And so everybody takes that as that's the replacement for Kyle Juszczyk. So then they cut Kyle Juszczyk. Everything is like looking like this is the replacement. And then, they end up bringing back Kyle Juszczyk. So I'm asking myself, as a huge Dre Greenlaw supporter, Dre Greenlaw is getting paid $34 million on 3 years. And we could not afford to bring him back or give him a contract offer off the hop. We wanted to give him a prove-it contract, which was disrespectful because the guy's put in his time. It's an Achilles rupture. It's not freaking your knee. So his Achilles is going to be good for this season. I guarantee that. And then the 49ers last minute want to match the deal of the Broncos, and Greenlaw at that point has made up his mind, and he says, too bad. So explain to me why we have money to pay the third string tight end off the Jacksonville Jaguars to come in to San Francisco at $22 million, but we don't have another $13 million to offer to Dre Greenlaw.
There's absolutely no explanation. I'm excited because I was watching Grant Cohn, and he's going to their annual meetup or whatever it is. The NFL owners and GMs all get together, and he said he's going to ask John Lynch that exact question. Like, what the hell happened? Explain Luke Farrell. Explain why that money went to Luke Farrell instead of Dre Greenlaw, and then explain the push for Dre Greenlaw at the last minute. It makes no sense. None of it makes sense. I think the situation was just handled poorly.
No, it's wrong because, like I said, the injury that happened to Dre Greenlaw it's not a career-ending injury. It's an Achilles rupture. It usually lasts 6 months to a year, and 6 months. There's plenty of times where guys are playing at 6 months.
Yep.
So to act like he's got to prove it, prove what? This guy's been an elite linebacker on your roster for a long time. What is he to prove?
Yeah, if the 49ers ever, I think reports came out that they said something about a 1-year prove-it deal. If I'm Dre Greenlaw and I hear prove it, I'm out of here, buddy.
Yeah, it's
what
offensive.
The hell? It's extremely offensive. What do I have to do in this league to prove myself?
Well, they're trying to use the prove it part in terms of can you stay healthy and try to blame it on the injury. But
man, you've been paying unhealthy players for the past how many years? What's different about me?
Yeah, and not only that, Dre Greenlaw is an elite linebacker. Like Dre Greenlaw, Rick, man, I can't really think of another linebacker other than the guy that's next to him that I would want over him. Like, honestly, think of linebackers, outside linebackers in the NFL that you say, yeah, I would way rather take him over Dre Greenlaw. You might have a few that you prefer over Dre Greenlaw, but there isn't anybody in the league at outside linebacker that you're going to say, I would definitely want him over Dre Greenlaw.
I'm actually thinking right now, and I can't figure it out.
No, man, you're not. You can come up with preferences. There's going to be fans that prefer their guy over him or something like that. Mm-hmm. But to tell me that he's way better or there's a way better option, that's crazy talk.
No, there isn't. There just simply isn't. That whole situation didn't make sense. So sticking to the tight end thing, George Kittle wants an extension. Yeah, he's going to want to be the highest. He's going to want to be the highest paid tight end in the league. I'm going to disagree with you.
No, that you don't do. But I don't know
That's
where
what he wants. That's what he wants.
I didn't see that report.
I see
wants to be the
multiple
high.
reports saying he's going to want to be the highest paid, and I think it's obvious. I think report or not, it's obvious. This is George Kittle. He's the best.
Okay, he's the best in the league, but he's at the tail end of his career. So to say that he deserves top tight end in the league, it's like, yeah, you deserve top tight end pay this year. But how do I know that in 2-3 years from now, you're going to live up to that contract? So I think the 49ers can negotiate their way out of that one.
I don't think they can because they couldn't with Trent Williams. They just signed for too long. Straight up.
See, but Trent, that's the other thing, too, that people don't realize. The 49ers are going to get a lot of money next year. Trent Williams most likely will retire. And if he doesn't, I don't think he'll be a 49er. So now, unless he comes back for much cheaper. So now you're getting a lot of money back from that guy right there. All that dead money that disappears after this year. I think we do have a little bit of more dead money going into the following year. I think it's like 20 million, but the cap goes up probably that much as well, or a little under that. Regardless, the 49ers are going to have a lot more spending money.
Okay, so in terms of this year, if George Kittle comes up to you and says, I want to be the highest paid tight end for the next, right now, obviously, and I want a 4-year extension. So I'm 32 years old right now. I'm going to play till I'm 36.
He's not going to get a 4-year extension. If he gets a 4-year extension, then it would be a front-loaded contract. It would not be a back-loaded contract. So his money would happen quick, and then they're able to cut him later on. That would be the most reasonable way of working it with him, but he would know that when he's signing that. So I think the smartest thing for him to do is probably ask for a 3-year deal, and the 49ers can, move that money around over that 3 years, and he'll be a Niner till he's 35 and probably retire as a Niner.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd give him highest paid tight end for the next 3 years.
There's no reason to suggest that Kittle's not going to be just as good as he's been in the next 3 years. Look at the fall off of Travis Kelce happened last year.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Yeah.
How old was Travis Kelce last year? 36.
36, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think Kittle's game will be the other thing too that George Kittle offers that Travis Kelce doesn't is the blocking part of his game. Right. So, George Kittle is as complete as they come. So you're not really spending your money is not being spent unwisely when you pay a guy like George Kittle. So George Kittle, if he wants to stay a 49er, there's no reason why the 49ers shouldn't give him that money. Now, if he wants to be the highest paid, what does that mean? How much are we talking? Because the highest paid
is the highest paid right now.
Yeah, because like if the other thing too that you got to keep in mind is that the salary cap goes up every single year. So and tight ends typically, I don't think they get 20 million, if I'm not mistaken. I want to say he gets
Travis Kelce's at 17.
Yes,
he's the highest.
So you're going to give George Kittle basically what he's getting right now. I'm pretty sure George Kittle's getting 17. So if you extend him for 3 more years at the same rate, you're still getting the top 3 tight ends in the league next 3 years. There's no reason why you should be so scared to pay that money. You pay that money. And now you're looking at Fred Warner. Fred Warner is a bigger problem in terms of money. Fred Warner right now it's due $29 million this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big expense. Along with Nick Bosa, that's $60 million between 2 guys.
Yeah, that's big money.
Right.
So yeah, they're gonna do what they can to keep George Kittle. He's gonna get what he wants. They've said it all year that they want him to retire 49er. So that's going to happen.
Another thing that I see happening here this offseason is that the 49ers are going to sign a free agent kicker. And then that kicker is going to take Moody's job. Now, why the 49ers have decided to keep him on the roster, I don't know. I don't know if they think they're going to light a fire under this guy's ass and it's just all of a sudden now it's going to show up that he's all check marks on the field and he's going to start hitting kicks. Yeah. I don't believe that. I don't think once a kicker loses it, that kicker is done. You've seen Hall of Fame kickers, David Akers. Once he lost it, he was done.
Just like that.
Yeah.
Justin Tucker, perfect example right now.
Right now, yeah.
So Jake Moody's never had it, ever.
Why does he get the only thing he's had is he's had our 3rd round pick. So because of
Exactly.
that, the Niners are.
Yeah.
Grant Cohen said it best. He said, or was it? I can't remember who said it. I think it was him, but he said you didn't have a problem moving on from Trey Lance, and you invested way more into Trey Lance. We're
I
talking.
said this.
It was you, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You invested at 2 first-round draft picks. You did a swap first-round draft pick, and then we were quick to move on from him.
Yeah.
And the reason why we did that is because he wasn't the guy.
Yeah.
Well,
And a
Jake
lot.
Moody's not the guy, and he's only a third-round pick. So
Yeah.
what are we doing?
And a lot of people argue Trey Lance didn't even get a fair shot.
I
Jake
don't
Moody
agree
got
with
a
that.
fair shot.
I
I don't
agree
agree
with that.
either. I don't agree either. I think he got a fair shot. I think we know he's not good. But a lot of people would say that. But Jake Moody's got his fair shot. And the only other kicker in the league that would get this much leeway is Justin Tucker, which he's getting right now. Jake
Right.
Moody has not earned any leeway. Why is he on this roster?
Yeah, generally kickers start off good, and then they can go, in a slump of some sort and rebound, but not a long slump. This is what he's done. His whole career has been a slump.
Yeah.
So there really is no reason. Sure, he has a big leg. Sure, he can make a 55-yard field goal. But so what? When it's crunch time, never even mind crunch time. Even when it's a regular field goal, my confidence level of when Jake Moody takes the field is like he's going to hit this maybe at 20% chance.
Yeah, and we're talking about a guy who missed kicks in the Super Bowl. Never mind just last regular season.
Yeah, he's earned his way off the roster. He's done well earning his way off the roster. He really has. I even feel like George Kittle at one point thought there was no chance he was coming back. He felt bad for him, and he showed that post game after that game where he just missed so many kicks. It was embarrassing. It got to the point where it's like, okay, get this guy off the field. You're just embarrassing him at this point by keeping him out there.
Yeah, man, that roster's probably shocked that he's still there.
Yeah.
What did you do to get this type of opportunity? Seriously.
I don't understand why the 49ers are struggling to just move on. I know it's the third-round pick, but it's like at this point, you're only embarrassing yourselves by keeping him on the roster.
Seriously. The first kick he misses this upcoming year if he's on the team is just going to laugh.
Well, it'll be week 1. That's for sure. If he's on the team, he's missing a kick week 1.
Okay, let's talk about the biggest thing that's going on this offseason. Brock Purdy still hasn't been signed. We probably won't expect it till May, after the draft at some point. Let's explore the options again of if Brock Purdy's not on the roster and he doesn't sign. So we've touched on Milton out of New England. Is there any way the 49ers address it in the draft if they don't get a deal done with him?
I don't think so. I don't think the 49ers have the intention of not getting it done, number one. And number two, if they are aware that it's not going to get done and it just hasn't reached the public yet, then there's a possibility. But I do believe the 49ers are or have every intention of making this deal happen. One guy reported that there's a chance the 49ers could trade him to the Giants a while back for 3 first-round draft picks. And this is like a guy that's on TV and I guess has some respect.
Yeah, I think KNBR.
I think that guy's out to lunch.
Yeah.
If the 49ers could trade him right now for 3 first-round draft picks, by the time you said draft picks and you didn't even finish the second word, he would have been out the door. Are you kidding me? 3 first-round draft picks? Like Brock Purdy, my answer to him would be is if Brock Purdy's worth 3 first-round draft picks, do you think the 49ers would have hesitated even 1 minute on signing this guy like the way the Bills didn't hesitate signing Josh Allen? At one point I thought it was just 49er fans that overvalue Brock Purdy. But now you got a guy that's supposed to be some analyst on TV talking about Brock Purdy being traded for 3 first-round draft picks. Dude, that's almost laughable.
Josh Allen at the age of 35 is going to be worth 3 first-round draft picks. Like, honestly.
Josh Allen, you got 4 elite quarterbacks in the league. Then after that, You got good quarterbacks, and it's a matter of where do you put Purdy. We could go through the list, and you're going to find that Purdy's around, anywhere from 10 to 15. That's where he is.
Let's do an official SNS quarterback list from 1 to 15, and let's see where Brock Purdy falls.
Okay, we're just going to put the 4 elites by themselves, and those elites are Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson. No specific order. Those are the elites of the league.
Okay.
Now, when you get to number 5, my number 5 might be different than others, but this is my number 5. It's Matt Stafford.
It's very fair. He's done a lot in this league. He has a serious arm. It's very fair.
Yeah, so that would be my number 5 quarterback. And then this is when it starts to get a bit tougher for me, but I'm going to go Jaden Daniels.
Interesting. I would not have expected that.
And the reason why I say that is because it is so, that might have been the best rookie year the NFL's ever seen.
Relax. Come on.
As a quarterback.
Okay,
Peyton Manning struggled as a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, okay. It's awesome what he did because he's a rookie. Okay. If he's not a rookie, it's not that spectacular. And let's be real here, man. If a couple plays don't go their way, their record is a whole lot different. Like, they had a Hail Mary against the Cardinals, I believe. They had 70-some yard touchdown in the final 2 minutes against the Cowboys to take the lead. And sure, that's Jaden Daniels, but I don't know. The offense, it's a very friendly offense. There's a lot of short routes. It's a lot of bubble screens. It's a lot of
They had the most screens in the NFL.
Yeah, it's a lot of screens. It's a lot of draw plays. I watch them a lot because of fantasy players, obviously, and Jaden Daniels isn't being asked to be spectacular. Does he have his random Lamar Jackson plays where he runs around the field and makes an unbelievable pass? Yeah, he does. So his ceiling is extremely high. But I don't know. Put him number 6? That's crazy. After that year.
Who do you put at number 6?
At number 6, okay, so I'd agree with
just keep in mind, Jaden Daniels had 31 touchdowns as a rookie and 9 picks as a rookie. So when you enter the 30 club, that's a big number in the NFL. There's MVPs in the NFL that have had 32 touchdown passes and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a big time number. It's here's why I'm so against putting a rookie quarterback in the top 10. Because Jaden Daniels is a stud. Has he done in the regular season what a Dak Prescott has done? No, not yet. But we don't have Dak Prescott in our top 5 or even top 6 because what he does in the postseason.
Yeah, that number 6 rating is what I believe is where he's gonna be.
Right.
You can't say he's number 6 after last season because it's only one season, but I'm saying going into this season, he's probably the 6th best quarterback on the list.
Right. Okay. I'll put, looking at the list right now, I would rather have Justin Herbert. I'm sorry. I would rather
see the reason why I'm so hesitant on Justin Herbert is because he's been given how many seasons now in the NFL, and he's been unable to take that next step.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not lack of ability, teammates. He's had good receivers. He's had good backs. That's not the reason for his struggles.
I would agree with that, but I think just last year is his first legit, was his first legit opportunity at a serious postseason run because he got a legit head coach. He's never had a head coach until last year. We got to remember.
They didn't do it.
They didn't do it.
Very good coach that he's got.
Yeah, but they did have they had a successful season. They don't have the strongest roster in the league. It's not even close, but
they had a pretty good defense last year, man.
They had a pretty good defense. They had the rookie receiver, what's his name?
Ladd McConkey.
Ladd McConkey is your number 1 weapon. Who's good?
He's a good weapon, man.
He's a good weapon. He's not amazing. He's not as good as what Jalen Hurts has and what Joe Burrow has and what
Yeah, but
Patrick.
he's had good receivers. He had Mike Williams and Keenan Allen for a good portion of his career.
Right, but then you take away the head coach. He's never had it all. I
But
think
I'm
next year,
referring to offense. You know, his head coach that he's had in the past is the defensive head coach. As a quarterback, that might just hurt you because you're always behind per se if your defense sucks or stuff like that. But he's had good weapons around him. You know, Eckler,
he has.
it's not fair to say that he hasn't been given opportunities to take a leap. He could have taken a leap and had a struggling defense.
Yeah, like I think, okay, let's say this. I think if he's as good as Josh Allen, that leap would already happen, but he's not as good as Josh Allen.
Exactly.
And nobody's saying he is. But I think he's right around there with if Jaden Daniels was on that team, I don't think it would be as successful.
See, that part, I don't know, because one thing with Jaden Daniels is there's just certain guys that are winners, man. I don't even know how else to explain it. Like some guys know that they can't take that chance and turn over the ball. Justin Herbert will take that chance and turn over the ball, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Dak Prescott, he'll take that chance and turn over the ball. Is Dak highly skilled? Does Dak make plays? Yes. But Dak Prescott in crucial times of the game will do something so stupid to lose the game. And that's why he's not on the top 5 list. Dak Prescott should be number 5. He should be. But because what he does when it matters most, he's not.
That's why he's not in our top 5 for sure. Okay, so let's move on. We'll agree to disagree there. I'll go Justin Herbert at 6, and you put Jaden Daniels at 6. Okay,
Yeah, like Justin Herbert's not even my 7.
Okay, who's your 7?
So there's Stroud, and there is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, let's be honest, he doesn't do anything great other than throw a great deep ball, and he can run the ball. But Jalen Hurts, again, you have to give him respect because he makes plays when they need him. You know, there's a lot of times where they should lose a game and then they win it near the end. This past season, and he has a lot to do with that.
I would give him the clutch title because he does not mess up.
Yeah, like he's probably my least favorite quarterback on this list, but because of what you have to respect it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like his game, to be honest.
Me neither.
Yeah, but I'm gonna put him at that number because of his success rate. Yes, obviously the Eagles D has a huge part to do with that, especially in the Super Bowl. But like I said, during the run, he had a lot of big moments in crucial times of the game when the pressure is the highest. So that's the reason why I think you have to put Jalen Hurts at 7.
Does Brock Purdy win the Super Bowl last year on the Eagles?
I think if we had that discussion, I told you this yesterday, I think you could probably name a lot of quarterbacks that would have won that game in specific. But that's not the season. That was the game.
Does Justin Herbert?
On that game, yes. Unless he's stupid enough to go turn it over and do something stupid.
Yeah. Okay, so you got Jalen Hurts at number 7. I'm going to wait to put Jalen Hurts at number 8. And at number 7, I'm going to put my guy that not a lot of people are going to agree with, but man, he's still so young. Give him some time in the postseason. Jordan Love. He's going to come on. Jordan Love's a stud. We know his arm talent is stupid. It's ridiculous. He just needs to smarten up. That's all. So I got Jordan Love there.
Well, I'm gonna go Stroud because what I've seen, what he does in big moments, and he does a lot of good things. That's my number 8. Then my number 9 would be Herbert, and my number 10 would be Jordan Love. Then I would be Dak Prescott at 11 and Brock Purdy at 12.
You still got Dak above Purdy? I disagree.
This is the reason. Well, I mean, they're very close. Dak's a better quarterback, but Dak, like I said, Dak has a problem, and I will continue to say this. I know there's a lot of Cowboys fans that think Dak Prescott's elite even. But the reason why I will not give him the respect that they want me to give him is because in the crucial times, he shows other things that you don't want as a quarterback. And those things are he starts to throw picks. He starts to punt. he starts to find ways to get off the field.
Yeah.
And when his team needs him the most is when this shit goes down. So too bad. I will not have you in my top 10. You know, he is technically a top 10 quarterback. He is. But because of those moments, he's not.
Yeah.
Like the Packers game, yes, your defense played like shit. And they never got off the field. And they allowed touchdowns after touchdowns against the Detroit Lions. Or sorry, the Packers. But let's not ignore the fact that he threw an early pick. He threw another pick six. And, you know, if anybody wants to come at me and say, yeah, when a quarterback's behind, that's what happens. No, not in the first half. In the second half, I agree. You know, there's still time on your side. And in the first half, it's not like the second half. The second half, you feel that pressure. You feel like you got to force it in there and try to make your team come back. And when you're really far behind, you know, that's when picks happen. It's understandable. But when the game's in the first half and you're throwing picks, and he did it against San Francisco, he did it against San Francisco twice. And, you know, 2 different games, back-to-back years. And then he did it in the Packers game. So
Yeah,
those 3 seasons, I cannot ignore.
Yeah, I always say that Packers game, I don't care how bad your defense was playing, because of what Dak Prescott did, you gave the rest of the team no chance. You didn't leave the defense a chance to correct their mistakes. Whether they were or weren't going to do it, we don't know, because you didn't give them a chance.
No, it's funny. What's funny is in the second half is when you give him his leeway that, yes, the defense has shit the bed. And obviously he threw a pick six in the first half, right before the half or whatever. And he threw a pick to Alexander earlier in the quarter as well. So, but you give him leeway in the second half because he's so far behind. And then that's when he does well. You want to know why he's doing so well? Because the pressure ain't there. The game's out of reach.
Yeah, exactly.
So
because of that specific reason, I still have Purdy over Dak Prescott. So I'll switch that.
It is a fair argument. My knock on Brock Purdy. This is my issue with Brock Purdy. Like, I like Brock Purdy, and I want him to stay as a 49er because I think you can win with Brock Purdy. As long as you have a good defense, you can win with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is clutch in key moments of a game. He can be clutch. We've seen him do that. He doesn't turn over the ball in key moments. We've seen that as well. Mm-hmm. But the one thing about Brock Purdy is he's not going to carry a team. And we know that, especially after last season. Any top 10 quarterback outside of Justin Herbert, and yeah, I would say Justin Herbert. Maybe actually, no, it's not even fair to say. There's a few more in there. Anyone, basically any of the top 5 quarterbacks, they can carry a team. Matt Stafford, for sure, buddy, this year and last year, carry a team into the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Okay, and the top 4 definitely can do it too. Outside of those guys, it starts to get a little funky. Can they carry a team? No. And Brock Purdy, that's my only issue with him, is I don't feel like he can carry a team into the playoffs. And I think he showed that this year. Yes, injuries were a big part of it, but this is exactly what I mean. He couldn't carry them in.
Yeah, his abilities just won't allow him to be as good as those top 5. Like, he's a gamer, like you say, Jaden Daniels is a gamer. I believe Brock Purdy's got that same exact thing. He's 100%. Smarter. Yeah, he's smarter than Dak Prescott. He's just not the guy physically. He's not a 6'5", 230-pound big arm type of guy. So you know what you're getting with Purdy. You know that he's not going to become that.
The strength of Brock Purdy is done before the game started. Mm-hmm. And Brock Purdy's identification of a defense coming up to the line is freaking good, man. He knows what the defense is in. You know, he's got a lot of help through Kyle Shanahan on that aspect. But he can dissect the defense, and his timing of throws is a example of that. You can't throw balls, before a guy's out of his cut without knowing what the defense is in before snap, pre-snap, and his window throwing is very good. That's like there's one play that I'll just never forget. It was last year in Seattle. Sorry, not last year, the year before. It was Brandon Ayuk on a 20-yard dig. He ended up scoring on the play. It was like a 22-yard touchdown or something. And that throw left his arm way before Brandon Ayuk got out of his cut. It's an unbelievable ability of his to find the window on time and high accuracy.
Yeah, man. 100%. He does it all the time too. I
Yeah.
remember the one against the Giants last year where Ronnie Bell's running a 10-yard out in the end zone. And
Yeah.
Brock Purdy throws it
Early.
while he's getting lit up. He throws
Early.
it early. And the second Ronnie Bell turns around, the ball's at his chest. Like,
Yeah.
Brock Purdy's nasty at that.
He did it again this year, the floater to Garendo. He threw that ball bloody early. He put air on it to make sure that he gets time to get under it. And, you know, Brock Purdy, like I say, in terms of his abilities of dissecting a defense and preparing for a game, that's where he's elite. And Sam Darnold even mentioned that he learned quite a bit from Brock Purdy. Yeah. So that's where Brock Purdy's elite. But you touched on it. His ability to be elite on the field is he's got a little bit of restraint because he's not 6'5", or he's not 6'4", he's not 6'3", he's 6 feet, 6'1". Yeah. And he's not exactly the biggest guy either. But one thing that stood out in that playoff run that was a big part of his game, that's become a big part of his game, is his legs. Mm-hmm. He's not exactly like a Lamar Jackson type, running quarterback. No, but he can scramble to buy time. And he can even scramble and, get you 10-yard first down. He's good at that too. But the only thing that holds him back from being elite would be his size and his strength, arm strength.
Yeah. He's obviously aware of that. If you watch the interview a couple of days ago, he's aware. He knows. He calls himself short. He knows. It's
the fact he can't see. He said 60% of the time he can see his target, and 40% of the time he can't. And I've always said that. I don't know if you remember when I met Robert Saleh. What was the thing I said to him before I left?
Run up that blitz up the middle.
Why did I say that?
It's Drew Brees. He's short.
Yeah. So the way I call defense is when you're playing against a short quarterback, put the pressure in his face because the guys are bigger than him. And now you're throwing blind or you're taking a sack. Yeah. So I like both options. You want to throw blind and on time, which Purdy's very good at. He gets away with it, but there's times where he doesn't. So you want to throw blind, no problem. I'm going to blitz in your face. And I know D coordinators know this. A gap pressure against Brock Purdy is worth more than anything. A and B gap pressure. You get A gap pressure, B gap pressure with a 6'7" D tackle in the NFL weighing at 300 pounds. He's got to be concerned about the impact of the hit, and he's got to be concerned that he can't see his target. So that's where his game has a little bit of a, restraint, his physical attributes.
Yeah, another negative we started to see last year that not a lot of people are talking about is once we learned that he was kind of being forced to do too much, he started making plays that you typically don't see out of Brock Purdy, as in like negatives, like he's scrambling early or he's not looking as comfortable as he usually does in the pocket. Like I noticed when we played against the Vikings, what they did a lot was when they weren't blitzing, they'd only rush 3. And Brock Purdy was still acting as if the blitz was on. So
remember when I said his best attribute is pre-snap and his ability to prepare? The reason why he struggles against the Minnesota Vikings is because they have a defensive coordinator that shows you something, but they're playing something else. And so what happened to Brock Purdy in that game in specific is that his strength is being taken away. Yeah. He's not able to dissect pre-snap. And it looks like one thing, and then right before he snaps the ball, a safety vacates or another guy comes, one more guy than they got blocking, and he did not anticipate that. His clock is rushed. He throws a pick or he gets sacked or he throws the ball away. You know what I mean? That's when it's funny, man. These defensive coordinators get big money, and we call a guy a genius because he's disguising what he's in. Yeah. To me, that's common sense, man. Why would you want a Brock Purdy or a Tom Brady or a Peyton Manning to know what you're running pre-snap? You can't allow them to know that. No. They're too good to be told what they're in prior to the ball being snapped. So your job is, as a defensive coordinator, is make his clock rushed, and the way you do that is by when the ball's snapped, you're in something he didn't expect.
Yeah, man, we've seen it clearly out of the Vikings. We've seen it out of the Kansas City Chiefs, and it should be a typical part of anyone's defense. Doesn't seem like rocket science, but
Yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs. The one thing with the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Vikings, the Kansas City Chiefs, I know they're in man. It's just what type of man are they? You know what I mean? Like,
And where are the guys coming from?
that's what I mean. What type of man are they in? Are they going to be in cover 0? Are they going to be in cover 1? Are they going to be in a too high shell? That's the question. But they're going to be playing man. You just don't know where the pressure's coming from. A lot of the time, too, he sends 4 guys, but the 4 guys you thought were coming didn't come. They came from different places. So it's fast pressure, even though he's only bringing 4. This is where, in my opinion, a genius is made, is because he's actually not blitzing, but it works like a blitz because they didn't anticipate a guy coming. Like, for example, McDuffie coming from the slot, and that edge drops, and it was just enough time to hold the tackle for McDuffie to get by, and now you got a 4-man rush with pressure.
Yep. So, yeah, with all that said, we still believe in Brock Purdy because he is a gamer.
I'm 100% behind believing that Brock Purdy can win on the 49ers. Yeah. Now, the way you do that is, yes, he's got to have some guys around him, just like any other quarterback. You know, even look at Josh Allen. Don't kid yourself. He was a freaking animal this year. He had minimal weapons, and he was able to get it done. But there isn't 10 Josh Allens. So,
and that's the thing. Even when you do have a Josh Allen that's playing at an MVP level, he's still not winning the Super Bowl.
Well, he got robbed, man. I don't care what anybody says. I think he got robbed. That was a first down. The NFL got that wrong.
And then but still, you'll still agree that if he went to the Super Bowl, he's still losing that game. I don't see him beating the Eagles either. So
yeah,
you need a roster at the end of the day.
You don't necessarily need a roster. You need a defense. When you have an elite quarterback, stack your freaking defense, man. Right. He'll get the job done on offense. Get your fucking defense in order. See, that's the problem. The Eagles have understood something. Okay, they don't have an elite quarterback. So what do? They stack their front 7, and the quarterback on the other side, who happens to be Patrick Mahomes, looks pedestrian because he's under pressure every single play. His clock is rushed by mid-game. And now he's starting to make plays that don't look anything like Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. And don't kid yourself. That's not a Patrick Mahomes moment where you could say, oh my God, look how terrible he is. The typical fan will think that. Mm-hmm. But what really happened on that field is the defensive line took over the damn game. That's what happened.
Yeah. 100%. Well, with that, let's wrap this up here. Thank you to the couple people who are watching. Make sure to subscribe if you like what's going on. Check us out on Instagram. We're on TikTok now. I just started posting on TikTok. And yeah.
Also, leave a comment and drop a like. You can leave comments of topics that you wish we would talk about or something that we could talk about in the future. And we would gladly respond to that.
All right. That's it.
Yeah. Until next time, take care, and we'll be back sooner than later.